Sup, Sonic Squad. Time for the grand finale, the end of the entire light show series that we've been working on this year, the Blue and White New Year's Eve Celebration Light Show. With the help of my family and the rest of the Sonic Squad here, we're going to be setting up the last of the light show. As part of our content today, I've been getting questions about how exactly we make these lights and what the process is, especially when actively using those three operating systems. So I'm going to screen capture all of the efforts and then give you a little bit of a preview of what it looks like object with the lights on, and then we'll wrap up with the big show as the grand finale release tonight. All right, to demonstrate this, I will be actively walking through how I set up these lights. The primary three ecosystems that we're working off of are Govee, Orchestra of Lights, and an HBN network that is controlling a few of the remaining components. Oh, actually, no, we're not going to be using HBN. HBN is a bunch of the outlets and switches. It's actually going to be the Philips Hue app. So we will start with, okay, yes, so fun fact, Govee not only controls the majority of the lights in this scenario, but also all of the humidifiers in the house. We've been really stepping up the humidifier since our son Zarian got the RSV, and myself and Jen also caught it, so we've been struggling through that. That stuff is going around. Be careful. All right, so already commanded, the previous automation that was established is ongoing and running. So the garage ridge, east ridge, top, those are all on in theory. Now I'm walking back over to these ridge lights, and I've been running into a consistent issue, and that is that they don't always come on with their external power units. To control them, I've actually been using a series of Alexa switches. So in this case, I'm going over to the Alexa app, swapping over and filtering for our plugs, and it is the 18th and 19th plugs that in theory we need to get on. They're still fighting. Yeah, step one is just getting the power to everything. We actually filtered down to two different devices there. I want just the plugs. This can sometimes be a friction point. So you're seeing this all live in real time with the friction that I'm bumping into of getting these additional roof plugs on and operational. You're coming along on this troubleshooting adventure with me for content. Now those plugs are being non-responsive, which probably means the system as a whole is not getting power. I've been running into issues with that as well. So I'm going to pause the recording here, go around the back, and flip those right back on, or just keep going. Why not keep going? Don't mind. Actively walking around the side of the house now. A few crunchy leaves still on the ground. It's all good. Oh no, the recording stopped. Screen recording. I can have it continue to screen record while I troubleshoot. Oh, this is creative. I like it. Oh, I unplugged these earlier. See, part of the troubleshooting process. Step one, is it plugged in? Because I've been having problems with the power draw on these two, I had unplugged them previously. You want to cross-check green light indications on both. All right, and now you see we have two steady green lights populating. Let's see if I can, look at that. Two steady green lights actively populating. We're going to go back to validate now that the roof has power on. A quick refresh with a pull down to the top and on command. There we go. There we go. I don't know if 17 is going to play ball with us. There we go. Now we're going to step back, and I'm going to see how that impacted the roof light. So here we're in the backyard. It's actually two smart strips enabling these additional power cords that are running up to the top to another Alexa Smart Switch. So I've got at least one of the ridge lines. I'm seeing green flashes. It's a little hard to see in this light. We're going to navigate back around to the front of the house. Oh, this is quite an adventure we're going on. You'll notice lights, for example, like these ones that are installed here internally, part of the house lighting already that are always installed, that's on the Hue ecosystem. All of these Govee lights that are along the ridge lines, those are on that same Govee system. Here's where the inconsistencies continue. All of these fun icicle lights are on the Orchestra of Light system. So step one, get everything powered on. Okay, you see we got some green on that top ridge line, green on this edge ridge line. A little hard to see from this range, but I believe we are up and running. The highest ridge is hard to see from here. Probably won't be able to see it until it gets a little bit darker out. I wanted to troubleshoot this while it was still a little bit warm. Okay. Still recording, right? Yep. Okay, wonderful. It's my first time trying a recording via screen capture, so you're coming along for the adventure. All right. Oh, yeah, I'm back inside the Govee music box that we have right here. That is ultimately what's going to be controlling the lights for Govee that are synced up to the music. Now, for the music source today, you guessed it, we're going to be using the Teslas. Unsurprising. So now we want to adjust these. I did my best to label them in a logical manner. So I've got a strip of the red lights up here. That is the garage ridge. I'm thinking we start with the more predominant loud color because we're going to do a blue and white theme. So they're currently on a rolling command. We're going to swap that over to blue. And bam, just like that. I'll show that up here. Little hard to see, but those are now flashing blue. Yeah, there it is. Cool. I know, quite a few components. Next up is, I sort of labeled everything in order to keep the lights coordinated and logical via direction. So that was garage. This next one is on the east side of the building. There we go. We're going to go to this is just choosing its music sync option, white. Now what that's actually doing, you'll see here, is in the absence of being synced up to that microphone, it's using its own external speaker, which it's just enough to either pick up the wind or maybe the cars performing. At the end of the day, within the performance, it's really hard to tell the difference. Great. And I'm watching it right now. It's being very subtle, but you'll see. Well, bam, we've got flashing white on the east ridge. I cannot see the north ridge, or the top ridge, which is the highest peak of our entire system. It's being unresponsive. So, yeah, that's part of the troubleshooting process. We'll get back to that later for top ridge. It's, yeah, showing non-responsive, meaning it's probably not getting power, which makes sense. Plug 17 from our previous troubleshooting was also being unresponsive. It's all good. We'll troubleshoot that a bit later, and let's move on to, let's see, which ridges do we have left? North Ridge, Top Ridge, and West Ridge. So the North Ridge is actually referring to the one closest to us. I'm going to power that on. There you go, it's flashing green. A little bit of road traffic, still some people heading out to New Year's Eve. System's trying to connect. And as you can see, these systems aren't perfect. This is the friction I regularly run into. Let's switch over, see if we can get the West Ridge. West Ridge is actively flashing green right now to match the theming and to kind of bring some balance between the blue we just put on the garage. We're expecting blue, white, blue, white, blue. Okay, so we're going to wrap this one. So essentially 5 different segments that we're discussing. And yeah, that will pair it up pretty well. Plus, it's always a little more fun to bias the primary color. And there we go. We can now see the West Ridge lights flashing blue. Ha! So that was just working from the top down for the start. Now, since we're already in the Govee app, let's work the Ridgeline lights. I'm going to back out to the main menu. Going to go over to the trim lights. Oh, this will be fun. Not too challenging to do. We're going to adjust the segmentation. Just like we did with the garage, we're going to readjust the same theming. Red becomes blue, green becomes white. All right, blue. And now we select all the greens. Now, admittedly, this is a cumbersome process, but once it's done, I can save to my colors. We'll choose the full palette, and bam! Now we have that pattern saved for whenever this comes up again. And you can see, ha! Now we have those all adjusted to blue and white. Eventually, it'll actually be just those that are getting fed through the Govee music box. Good. So now that's the Govee lights squared away. Oh, let's do the next easiest, which is going to be fixing up the hue lights. The hue lights actually live over here with my smart home commands. So hue lights run all the lights in the house. I've honestly lost count. We're probably upwards in the 60s of how many total lights there are internal. I actually have 3 different switches to just sort of spread load the frequencies. It's been a lot with those lights. For example, we'll have to switch the bridges. So the bridge locations, that's the primary one set up on the Wi-Fi. This will be another secondary one that's plugged in via Ethernet over to the driveway. We are going to take Christmas, right? And Christmas is actively commanded. So we're going to add a scene based off of what we currently have and call this NYE. So in theory, these efforts, if I happen to be in the same house next year, will otherwise be saved and rendered. We're going to take this full chunk of 7 lights that were red, and the same way we shifted the garage, bring them over to blue. This full chunk of 9 lights, bring them centered up white. Bam. It'll be a bright, crisp white as well. Close that out, and there we are. Blue and white. It even adjusted the Festiva, so that's fun, and we're going to hit save. And now let me show you the results. You can see the strip light on the door. Oh, haven't adjusted those portions yet. I almost forgot about those. So the strip light adjusted because it was considered part of the driveway. I almost forgot to adjust the porch. Add a scene. Same process, already taking all of those efforts we put into Christmas. And so a quick tap outside that light group and a reselection of the light group lets us bring green onto white. Red becomes blue. So when we have essentially a 2-color theme, I now have a basic palette to work off of. Here we go. We step back. Boom. Adjusted blue and white as we pan back across. Oh, hey, John. And Zare Bear. We've got blue and white reset. The Festivas back up as well. And now we're on to one of the more challenging portions, the Orchestra of Lights. The Orchestra of Lights is always a finicky piece. You see right now we've got those red dashes along the edge. Oh, cool, and it cleared. Oh my gosh, when things work. You'll see over here back in the garage, here's the candy canes that we took down to kind of step away from the Christmas theming. Direct power running to our Orchestra of Light command hub. Blue and red is what we want. It is not uncommon for it to fall off of the Wi-Fi, so I was thinking we would need to troubleshoot that, but instead it's playing ball. So let's see how this pans out. We're going to select preset colors. White and blue happens to be one of the preset colors. We're going to input the command. In theory, the effect will still remain the same. The effect we chose was light show, and white and blue is commanded. So those two paired together results in this. Blue and white flashing. Now, the challenge here is it's running its own internal network. So it's blasting these commands to each individual light system. We just want to walk through and validate that they all took. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. Most of the lights on the house you now see are flashing blue and white, except some of my candy canes decided to not play ball. That's challenging. One segment, just one segment of candy canes. That's fine. We go back. We recommand blue and white. Recommand light show. Come back. Even swap it over. Let's go to a different color and come back. The one set of candy canes is not playing ball. See, this is the reason we op check. This is why we have a dress rehearsal. Also later tonight, the sign, once it gets sufficient light, that'll be my cue when it's actually time for the light show. I've got a solar-powered light sensor sign. It, in theory, is still programmed to green. I need to adjust that to report. I'm thinking blue later on. So literally everyone's playing ball except those guys. So here's the fun part. Here's the challenges when one piece of our system is just misbehaving. We're going to press for that bridge. See, the bridge is reporting a disconnection again, and it's back. Just going to give it one more try, recommanding blue and white. Red, blue. Blue, white. Everyone else is playing ball. So we'll go to back to our main menu, manage items, and we're going to scan through these. We're going to have it rescan to see if it will pick them up. Now, a few other troubleshooting items, since I know this system has some range limitations. There we go. I've got the garage door open. I'm going to kind of walk it out as far as I can with its power cord, but it's pretty stuck here in the garage. Scan again of some lights. Now, these lights, in theory, are now locked with that lock icon. Specifically, we want to find the candy cane pathway. Candy cane pathway 1, 2, and 3. I've got 3 candy cane pathways. I believe that is our total candy cane count. I'm almost certain we're at 3. Gonna go back. Preset colors. Blue and white commanded. Oh, and it's working! So in this case, the troubleshooting effort there was to give a recommand. Oh yeah, and a quail block. Jen actually picked this up last time she was out shopping. We have this out here to attract a bunch of the quail that live across the park here. Absolutely love it. Okay. So, if we were going to program this for multiple nights, that would be a whole nother ordeal. I'll show that next year with next year's Christmas setup. You can see as it's starting to get darker, all of our lights around the house have adjusted. But that rooftop, still not playing ball. Gonna have to go and troubleshoot that one on the roof, and I'm gonna grab the light system and pre-stage the cars. I'm gonna pause the recording here and get right back with you once those tasks are complete. Okay, never mind. We are back at it, this time on top of the roof. one of those issues. Remember that strip of lights that wasn't otherwise coming on? Here we go. It was actually the far right here. Green light. Needed a manual power cycle, but we've got blue, white, red, blue, green up top right now. That's not what we're going for. Back over to the Govee system. We now know all the system have power on. It's kind of cool. As I'm talking, they're all responding to my voice from their speakers. Top ridge. We wanted that blue. Sometimes it's a matter of range is a big issue. So I always kind of keep the ladder ready to go. Boom. Top ridge. That's now reporting blue. Perfect. Now, the problem is that now bleeds into the other blue, and that's just more blue than I wanted to do. So we're now going to adjust that west ridge. As always, very important to maintain consistency within labeling conventions. That's going to switch over to white. Bam. Just like that. Now the sleeves. Now we've got a nice white, blue process. We still have this green guy. That, I believe, is the North Ridge. Is that what I ended up calling it? See, I told you, got to be consistent with the labeling convention. Here we go. Is it still green? Yep. And this, just to balance things out, we'll make that blue. All right. Now, a lot of these systems, they're pretty good about it when you leave them in a state like this. When they're powered off, they come back on in the previous state. I also like to program some of the automations to bring them back on in that manner. Also going to recommand on just to see if we can validate it. It's not up on the Wi-Fi, so there may be some connectivity issues there, but that sounds like something to troubleshoot next year. In the meantime, we'll just cross-check it one more time while we're up here. It's actively mirroring my footsteps. There we go. There is blue all across the garage. White, blue across the top ridge, white across the west ridge, and the air quotes north ridge is reporting blue as well. So we have those all set up and running. As always, if you find yourself on the roof, be sure you have a spotter. Someone else knows you're there. Jen, the family, is tracking. And kids don't do this without parental supervision. It was always one of my favorite Christmas traditions with my dad to get up on the roof and get the Christmas lights ready. Oh, also, I remember that Govee music box we talked about. I grabbed it and left it somewhere. Shoot. I thought I had that on me. Yes, I had been charging it a little bit back in the office. So I'm gonna pause this, caution, and show you the final results. Okay, and we're back from the roof. Final phase. You now see all of our light systems, save that one north ridge, which is being a little weird, are reporting on, but it is flashing the colors that I want. Now that it's getting a little darker, we can see that here from the ground. A little hard to see. But yeah, there's those flashes on the top of the roof that we're going for. The lights are all colored up, but what we're missing from last time is the music input. That's the final phase here, and for that, we're going to use the Govee music sync. In theory, just a press on the button should turn it on. Boom, that's powered on. I was charging this up via a USB-C input earlier because I had burnt it out from the previous Christmas light show. We see in its menu selection, it's nice and close to the phone, so it should get a connection easier. Big foot stomp on a lot of these systems. Whenever you're Bluetooth, it's just like a headset. You got to be close up to them. Oh, don't embarrass me in front of my friends. Here we go. We're going to be using the beat input. It's kind of cool. It's actually responding to my voice right now. We have green and blue selected. We're going to swap that over to be blue and white. I'm going to remove the green and blue. We're going to apply. And now, this is actually kind of cool. I'll switch over to the camera. You can see, as I'm speaking, I was focused on that, it's receiving the input and the lights are flashing. They only flash when it's receiving auditory input. That's pretty fun, right? And that's where the Teslas come in. So to strategically place this, I want it receiving the best possible audio feed, and the location for that is going to be inside the Tesla. So in the meantime, I'm going to give it a power off command and let it just kind of vibe. When I go to set up the light show, I'll put it back on, and bam, the lights have now returned to a static position in the absence of the light command. It's important that when a device is controlled, it's essentially being taken over by that music box. In this case, just the trim lights are the ones being controlled. Previously, I tried to do it with the other lights, but a few of the ridges were having issues, so I'm just going to have them use their internal speakers. In theory, those internal speakers should pick up the music for the grand finale pretty loud at the end here. To avoid any spoilers, I'm not going to play the grand finale song on the Teslas, but I op-checked it earlier today, and really the key to getting that to work is just to set a time about 2 minutes down the road and have both of the Teslas commanded to start on that time so they sync up. Go. There we go. Now that's staged inside the car and ready to roll. And that is the behind the scenes of the Christmas Light Show. I hope this audio and this walkthrough helped a little bit. Some of the screen recording. I think the biggest takeaway and lesson learned from all of this is a unified system would have really helped. I'm seriously considering switching over to Govee for a permanent option if I don't grab any different third-party lights in the future. I want to keep things as uniform as possible. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you guys at the big finale.